You know, as surprised as I was to hear that they were making a Cars 2, I was even more surprised that they were making a Happy Feet 2. Go figure. This film is directed by George Miller and stars the voice talents of Elijah Wood, Robin Williams, Pink, Ava Akers, Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, and several others who I can't memorize their names, so there's others. I thought the first Happy Feet movie was a pretty good film. I enjoyed it for what it was. Thought it was a fun movie. It was very dramatic at times, but I liked how they linked the humans to the penguins, you know, live action versus animation. Thought it was funny, had a good time with it, a good story, and I was apprehensive, but still looking forward to the second movie. To be brutally honest, I haven't been this disappointed by a film this year since Sucker Punch. This time around, Mumble is grown up. He has a partner who is voiced by Pink. Her name is Gloria, and they have a young son named Eric. He is trying to find his place in the colony like Mumble was in the first movie. He has friends and he just doesn't feel like he fits, and he doesn't have the tappity tap 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 that his father has yet. A problem arises when the ice breaks, causing walls of ice to surround the colony, and it prevents them from getting out. However, the main characters are already out, having gotten into trouble, and are out of the wall of ice and are trying to help get the others out. The second story follows two Krill, voiced by Matt Damon and Brad Pitt, and they are in the swarm, and Brad Pitt's character wants to leave the swarm and kind of venture out and go higher up the food chain and start eating bigger animals and stop being the prey for once. He doesn't want to be the one who's eaten, he wants to eat the bigger animals, and so they have their own little journey there. My biggest problem with this movie was the two stories. I did not find either story very interesting or inspiring. I was bored throughout the majority of this film. I could have cared less about the two Krill. I love Matt Damon, I love Brad Pitt, they're two great actors, but this film is pretty much a gimmick because it takes the advantage of being an animated film where all you need is the voices of these famous actors and you don't need their physical bodies in the movie, and so they just, you know, make an excuse to bring these two guys in. In essence, what I'm trying to say is that the story of the Krill, despite it being mildly entertaining, was completely useless and did not need to be included in the movie. What I think happened when they were developing the story is that the writers of the script finished developing the penguin story, and then they realized that people are going to get bored because this is just like one long problem. Elijah Wood's character trying to free the colony pretty much takes up the entire movie, and they realized that that was going to be boring because, you know, you can only entertain someone with that so long. So then they decided to create a little side story where you had these two Krill who are trying to get out on their own to sort of break up the action. But the thing is that neither story really goes anywhere. They're both very dull. Not a lot happens in this movie really, and so I was just sitting there going, when is something going to really happen? The first movie, I cared for the characters and I wanted to see how it was resolved, but for this movie I just didn't care. I didn't. And I'm not trying to be a dick. I just didn't care. I understand that it was not my intention to dislike this film. The positives, there were a few positives, don't worry, I didn't completely hate this movie, were that the animation was gorgeous, of course. You know, animated films, they're always trying to make them look better. I saw this in 3D. I would have seen this in IMAX, but I didn't want to spend the extra money. But I did see this in 3D, and 3D was actually pretty good. The one thing that I was really upset with in terms of voice actors was Robin Williams. It's not him per se, but his part was written so poorly, honestly, because he plays Ramon and he plays Lovelace. Robin Williams was completely wasted in this movie. His talent dropped down the drain. If your kids want to see this, I'm sure that they'll like this. I'm going to give Happy Feet 2 2 out of 5 stars.